Welcome back to another video of Footy Nappies.
Beautiful. Good to be back, mate. I think we'll get straight into it. We had a fair win. The Cats there against the Eagles, which is okay. They got out of jail. And not a bad win for your first match day vlog for the Ammos as well.
Yeah.
Which was good. Did you have a good game?
Yeah.
Get a go?
Yeah.
That's the spirit. Hopefully we've got another one this week. Got to coax Mum into coming down to record it Friday night. We'll see. Alrighty, mate. What's making news?
Sicily out
of form. Yeah, he has been, hasn't he? And now they were denying that there was any issues with injuries and things like that. But now they've come out and said that he's got a bit of a hip abdominal issue and could miss 2 to 3 weeks. So he is, whether or not he's been playing injured, who knows? But yeah, geez, he hasn't been looking too good anyway. The Hawks, they're in a bit of trouble, aren't they?
7-5.
Yeah, but
Geelong are 8-4, so we're
not much better with some respect. But it's just who they've had losses against, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I've seen. I think they lost to Geelong's top 8 side, and they lost to them. Collingwood's top 8 side, they lost to them. Brisbane top 8 side, they lost to them.
Gold Coast
top 8 side, they lost to them.
So that's the real worry, is that you're going to drop a couple of games here and there. Good sides do, even Brisbane and Collingwood have. But when you drop all those games you're dropping it to top 8 sides, and Brisbane, Collingwood, Gold Coast and Geelong, they're all top 5 sides at the moment, who are probably going to be pointy end stuff, playing at the pointy end of the season. That's probably a real worry for Hawthorn at the moment.
Because they might play them at the end of the season.
If they're lucky enough to get there. I think Hawthorn, we might have them under the pump this week. We do. We'll get to them later on then. We don't want to harp on it too much. But, Sicily, he's been out of sorts. And as captain of the side, you've really got to lead by example. Anyway.
Who is going to be the next captain?
I don't know. Like Will Day, probably he's got captain material.
Is he going to be... But he's not playing, though.
No, he's injured at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
probably got it, though.
Feel like he's got captain... material characteristics, I suppose. Next one there, mate. North Melbourne.
2 weeks in WA, so they're selling home games.
Yeah, so seen this before with teams like St Kilda in the 2000s sold games, a few games down to like Launceston and Tasmania. And I don't know. It's just I understand why clubs have to do it. North Melbourne don't have a massive supporter base and membership revenue. So, you have to consider or think outside the box. So they're playing this
West Coast against Handover on Bunbury.
Yeah, which is in Bunbury, which is pretty cool for those people down in the south there of WA. Like that'll be a great experience. But and then they're selling a game to Fremantle the following week. And so, I don't know. It doesn't sit too well with me. I just think you got to be how many fans would they have over in WA? They couldn't have too many, could they?
No, they'd have a lot, but they might have a few that fly over.
Yeah, a few, but predominantly most of their supporter base is going to be here in Melbourne. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. Let us know in the comments below. What you think of selling games, clubs selling games.
Yeah,
to different states.
Trying to think of another reason why they'll do it. Plus, because Melbourne is so far from WA.
Yeah, North Melbourne. Oh, look, it's all revenue. Yeah, just trying to bring in additional. I think they've got a 3-year deal with the WA government, or whether it's WA government or the West Coast Fremantle, but it's a 3-year deal worth $7.5 million or something.
Yeah.
Or projected to bring into the club $7.5 million. So that's a lot of money. So I get it from that point of view, but I just sort of think, gosh, yeah. Anyway, interesting one.
Cullen
Ward, yeah. He's done his ACL, and we suspect that may be the last time we see him on the footy field.
Yeah, it was looking like that.
In playing, in a playing capacity. Apparently, he mentioned at the start of the year this was going to be his last year of footy. So really sad way to see a champion of the game go out.
Well, it looks like it's going to be his last. It was probably only going to be his last 12 games of footy, not his last year.
Yeah. I remember, I think it was 2015 or 2016. You have to correct me in the comments, but Chris Judd went down. I think that was an ACL as well on the MCG, and he ended up, whether it was an ACL or it might have been something else, but it was a significant injury. It finished his season, which also turned out to be the last time he graced the footy field as a player. He ended up getting taken off on the little golf buggy cart thing. Stretcher car, yeah, which was pretty sad. And the other one might have been 2014 or 15. It was Dane Swan for Collingwood, absolute champion of the game.
Oh, yeah, I know him. He got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Oh, he's a superstar, Brownlow medalist, premiership player. But yeah, he fractured his ankle or something. It was an awful injury. And I think that was up against Sydney at the SCG, and that was it. That was season over and career over.
Yeah, what about Tom Hawkins?
Yeah, he went down with that injury. He did play VFL. Remember, we went and seen that game against Southport Sharks, and I don't think he did too much, did he? But he took it a long time to recover. That was against Carlton that he went down with the injury and took a long time to recover.
The Cats did get smashed that game.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, unfortunately, that was the last time he played on an AFL field. And then the next one there in the news is Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow. Bit of trade bait. What do you think about that, Carlton?
They lose them. They have no more. Probably call them medalists.
No, well, there's talks there. I think Graham Wright, who has been at Collingwood and sort of cleared a few players out of Collingwood there. I think it was Treloar and
Stevenson,
Brody Grundy, and might have been Stevenson as well. Cleared. They had a lot of players on big money, so they sort of cleared out the excess, so to speak, and then that enabled them to bring in other players to the club, and anyway, ultimately led to them playing and winning the 2023 grand final. So Graham Wright's joined Carlton, and there's talks that there could be a similar sort of actions, pushing some players and not pushing them out, but recognising that someone like Harry Mackay would have a fair bit of trade value, and perhaps seeing what they might be able to get into the club, getting him out of the club, and he's on big money till like 2030 or 2029 or something. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. I
suspect they'll keep Curnow. I think Curnow's a year younger, or maybe similar age, but I'd argue Curnow's probably a bit better than Harry Mackay. But yeah, that'd be interesting. Imagine if Carlton cleared out a few of their, not so much guns, but a few of their bigger name players. Yeah. What do you think of that?
Well, they probably don't have a Coleman medalist favourite then. That just rubs out one of them.
No, I don't think either of those two are going to win the Coleman this year as well. They're not really getting good service, are they, from their midfielders?
Well, was sort of like injured at the start.
Yeah, he's been injured. Yeah, that's right.
And then Mackay.
Mackay had a week or two out with a bit of, I think he was sort of a bit of mental health issues and stuff, but he's since come back and he's been playing okay. But yeah, begs the question, and who else could go as well? Should Paddy Cripps look to go elsewhere and try and win a premiership somewhere? Hard to see him winning one at Carlton.
Yeah.
What's he got? Like,
I think he's got
3 or 4 years left.
Yeah, he's about 30.
He's 30. Yeah, 31. He and Sam Walsh was the other one that has been rumoured as well.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
He's had a lot of back issues and stuff, but when he come onto the scene a few years ago, he was a absolute superstar. He had a grouse first season.
Well, I don't know.
First couple of seasons.
Has he developed? Yeah,
that's a good question. That was one of the things I was thinking at the start or throughout this year. Like he seems to have stagnated a bit, hasn't he? It's not like his footy hasn't sort of progressed. Injuries probably played a part.
Look at Nick Dacos. His footy progresses every year.
Each year, his ceiling gets better. Yeah, and he took a contested mark on the weekend, his first one. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Hadn't taken a contested mark in 60 or 70 games or something, but I suppose when you get so loose, you don't have to take contested marks, do you? His running capacity is so good that he creates space, but yeah, he took his first contested mark. But And the last one we had on there, actually, this is a bit of a fresh one. Tasmanian Devils, future's uncertain. So I think the AFL have set out guidelines to what they want the state to do and prepare for them to give them the 19th licence. And one of the things they want is...
What's the 19th licence?
Well, there's 18 teams that all have an AFL licence to have a team. So they were giving Tasmania the 19th licence.
But that technically means it's an odd number.
Odd number, yeah. So there'll be a bye each week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we did see in 2011 when Gold Coast entered the competition. There was an uneven number, 17 teams. So there was a bye each week. But... So you're right, it would be uneven, but...
and that's going to stay though, unless another team comes in.
Yeah, well, and eventually there might be, say, like a Northern Territory team or something,
maybe.
Perhaps. Or...
Gold Coast currently holds out though.
They're in Queensland, but yeah.
So they can't
whether or not you get another WA side or something, because, that's a big footy state. But Tasmania, they needed to... provide a stadium and with a roof, I think, is the big caveat that needs a roof.
I'm pretty sure cricket don't want that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what it is. I know it's going to be a lot of money, so therefore that's a big hindrance of the state government. Apparently there's a vote of no confidence and things like that that's going through the parliament at the moment there in the state. But that'll be an interesting watch and see, all this hype around what they sign, like how many thousands of members, like it was only $10 or something, foundation members to sign up, but they signed like thousands and thousands of people joined just to support it, to help it get off the ground. But it'd be very sad if it doesn't get going, which it may not.
Well, can't you see there's a few people that do have like their Guernsey already?
Already? Yeah, that's right. They were selling those. I would argue that the rest of the competition probably aren't too disappointed with this because... I'm just hypothesising, but, they were going to give them a lot of draft picks. The first few years they would have got significant amount of top-end draft picks, which would have left other clubs like Geelong and other clubs not getting access to top-end talent.
So at West Coast, if they finished last...
Oh, they'd still be up. They'd get something probably in the top 5 or 6 picks, but
they don't get first.
No, that's right. Tasmania, I think we're going to get 1, 2, and 3 at least in their first season.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a.
What about
I haven't heard any clubs saying that they're happy about it, but I reckon behind closed doors maybe they would be. I don't know. Interesting.
Under the pump.
Under the pump. First one there, mate. We
Hawks.
Touched on a little bit briefly. That's right, the Hawks. So the Pies doubled their tackle count on, was that Friday night or Thursday night?
Friday.
So the Pies doubled, and they've lost the tackle count the last 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Who, Pies?
No, Hawthorn.
Oh.
They're, you think, gosh, if you're losing, usually the side that's losing has more tackles because they're chasing the players a bit more, if that makes sense. But in this instance, it's almost as if they wouldn't hurt a fly at the moment, Hawthorn. Like, they need to get a little bit of mongrel about them and, start tackling. And so, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I think they're in a bit of trouble. They got the Dogs this week. That's tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have the Crows at Launceston. I don't know.
And that's
next week. I think it's around 15, that game.
Yeah. Say a month ago, I would have said, Hawks win that one. They know Launceston better. But now I say, well, I don't know. I'm there's every chance Adelaide could win that one. Isn't that right? Don't you reckon, Squid?
Yeah.
Adelaide could win that, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, they're in trouble, the Hawks. They're under the pump. They're, I think the next 3 weeks, they've got big games, as you said. They've got the Dogs, they've got Adelaide, and there's one other game that they've got. And there's every chance they could miss out, or they could slip out of the top 8 in the next couple of weeks. But I still think they'll play finals.
They could go crazy mode.
Yeah. Well, you go jump into bed, and we'll finish off. A little bit longer. All right, who's next under the pump?
Sydney.
Sydney. I've just about put a line through them.
Have you, Diddy?
Have you put a line through them?
Yeah.
Finals over, season's over?
Yeah.
Just about.
Just about time for them to go crazy mode before they...
They need to go crazy mode.
Dean
Tops wants them to go crazy mode.
Well, we want the Cats to sort of...
Just keep winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
But the Swans, I reckon they're in big trouble. I think season over for them. They're 4-8 at the moment.
Yeah.
Or 4-7.
4-8.
4-8. I reckon they're toast. I mean, injuries have, really hurt them this year, and we've had them under the pump before. You don't want to harp on them too much, but I think season's over for them. Dean Cox back to the drawing board.
Okay. Because we want the Cats to sort of win, because
it's their third footy nuffy
year. and they have footy nuffy, not like 5.
That's right.
And so we sort of want the Cats to go down below.
No, we want them to keep going up.
No, down below down below and up.
And up.
And this one's...
All right, well, let's keep going here. So next under the pump, Ashley, the AFL.
7:20 p.m. Sunday games.
Now, I know WA had a public holiday or something.
And I know WA have their games at 4:15. That would be a twilight game for them.
Yeah, but throw it on a Saturday. A Sunday, 7:20. I don't know about you lot, if you're all for that. I know you could say, oh, well, we've got something to sit and watch on a Sunday night. Yeah, what about, how many people have got to get up and go to work the next day? Or how many people have got to get up and go to school or get the kids ready for school or kinder?
What about Santa?
Sunday night.
Do you want to cancel that?
Not a great time.
And we want the Swans to go down.
Yeah.
Down. All right.
Down.
Do you want to
You hop out and then you can come back for the finish.
Hey.
No, she's right. She's going to hop out for the finish.
Do you want to cancel 7:20 Sunday night games? Yes.
Yeah, we do. We don't like it, AFL. So you're under the pump as well. We've gone at you before for scheduling, and this is no different. 7:20 on Sunday night. What do you reckon? You watched the half and then you stayed up and listened to it on your radio anyway.
And then after the game, I was like...
It's funny. I heard you cheering at one point, and I was like, "Oh, what's that for?" And then the radio must be a few seconds in front of the TV. And then on the TV, I saw Ollie Henry mark it. I was like, "Oh, that's what he was cheering for." So anyway, AFL, get rid of 7:20 on Sunday. That's rubbish, mate. They start the game at 2:20 or 3:20 in Perth, and then at least by the time it comes on the TV here in Victoria, it's 5 o'clock or something. I don't know. What do you reckon? You comment in the comments below. And the highlights, mate. What do we got there?
St Kilda.
Yeah, so their backs are against the wall. I was literally just getting ready to put through a line through them as well for their season.
Oh.
How good were they though? They ran rings around Melbourne. They opened Melbourne right up. St Kilda usually play so slow and boring and defensive. They didn't play like that. The bits and pieces I was watching, Wanganeen Malira. Is that Malira? Wanganeen Malira? He's just breaking the lines and they're just changing the angles, and Melbourne had no answers. Melbourne kicked awfully bad.
7 goals, 21.
Yeah, insane. But I was really impressed with the Saints. So I think they got the bye this week. Ross the boss said he was going over to Las Vegas. He said, I think he's only joking, but anyway. So that's interesting. They were really good, Saints. Wet toast.
Yeah.
West Coast.
Another toast.
Wet toast. They were really good. They were really good against the Cats.
For about 3 quarters and a half.
I was going to say, 3.5 quarters. Absolutely. It was just that last 10, 12 minutes that the Cats just got a hold of him. What was his name? Jimby? Ruben Jimby, I think it is. Number 7. Yeah, he's got the mullet. He was full back there on Jeremy Cameron. He was awesome.
There's still kick 5.
He did, but he kicked 4 in the last. But I reckon he kicked 4 in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, he did. 4 in the last 10.
Even Jezza said in the post-match press conference with, I think it was on Fox Footy, he said, I told Jimby after the game, you had my measure today. You were brilliant. Well done. I just got on the end of a few at the end. So he was humble there after the game, which was beautiful. But well done to West Coast. There, you can see McWalter's got he's got them playing the style that obviously him and the assistant coaches have developed and that they want, and it's going to be good if they can keep that list together. Perhaps, they brought in Jack Graham and Liam Baker, who I thought were both really good on Sunday.
Bailey had 38.
Yeah, well, Bailey Smith was unreal for us, but he was quiet after halftime as well. They sent a tagger to him who did a pretty good job, but no, and I mean if they can hang on to Harley as well, that'd really help them. But no, they were. I really liked what I saw. That was awesome. And next there, Ashy, this one's a worry.
Adelaide have a real deal.
They are definitely a real deal.
They smashed the Swans by 90 points at the SCG.
At the SCG, yeah, they were really good. And like who was it after the game? Was an Adelaide player after the game? Malera, is that his name?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he said, oh, we could tell in the first quarter that Sydney were a bit of a rabble. I think he even suggested that they were sort of fighting with one another or getting sort of grumpy or dissatisfied or frustrated with one another because they weren't doing the things they wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
And then it all just was like a
apart.
It was like a storm. It was a storm. He had, I think, the following day, the Adelaide CEO rang up the Sydney CEO, Tom Harley, and sort of apologised for the players' words after the game. It's like, what's wrong with that? He said, to us it looked like they were a bit of a rabble. I don't see how that's insulting and that one should have to then apologise to the opposition. It's not like they didn't say a rude word or anything, did they? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you don't really need to.
You don't really need to?
Yeah, why not?
Apologise? Or...
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, I just think we've spoken like a few weeks ago. We spoke about players being, showing character and not being robots, and how good that is. But then, on the other hand, only a couple of weeks later, and I mean they've all been fined anyway. The ones that have been, doing.
They always had like 4 fines.
Yeah, he has. And then, like this bloke didn't get a fine, but. Yeah, essentially he had to apologise, or his team spokesperson apologised on his behalf.
But what about
ridiculous.
when Rashtawi probably got assist of the year?
Yeah, the goal that was unbelievable. That was kicked it off to
Ben Keys.
Ben Keys, yeah. And he ran on and I mean it was a bit wet there, wasn't it? Saturday night when they were playing, but it was still pretty impressive. But you could see Rochelle. He knew he was going to do that. Like, it wasn't like a last-minute thing. That was perfectly executed off the side of his boot. He's a good footballer. But they are definitely the real deal. And if they can go down and knock off the Hawks...
Launceston.
Yeah, and I think they got Brisbane this week at home.
Oh,
I mean,
if
they can do that, I think I'm going to tip Brisbane, but I'd love to see them knock them off. That'd be wonderful. I mean... It'd be great for the competition. It would just show how close those top 5 or 6 sides actually are. But anyway, Adelaide on fire. And the last one there, mate?
Jeremy Allen, 5 of the best.
He is on fire. He's having a huge season. He's second in the Coleman for a small forward.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
Yeah, we're talking about Higgins about that.
Yeah, that's right. Only just the week before, we're talking about Jack Higgins.
He only got 1 goal.
He's a bit quiet. You know who was on for St Kilda was that Dan Butler. He sort of bobbed up and kicked 4 or something.
Yeah, he did.
But no, Jamie Elliott, he's having a huge season. And I suppose, we try and stay as unbiased as possible, but we should probably throw Jezza Cameron in there as well. He's kicked 18 goals the last 3 weeks. So that's a genuine highlight.
7, 6, 5.
Yeah, he might have got on the end of some junk time goals on Sunday night, in the junk time, the last 5-10 minutes of the game. But regardless, you still got to kick them. Even if you win the ball, you still got to kick them. So, no, that was awesome. That was the week that was. Looking ahead to this week, there's some big games. Geelong and Gold Coast, I reckon, is a big game down at the Cattery.
Yeah.
Not sure how that's going to play out. I hope it's a win to us.
Brisbane, Adelaide's a big game.
That's a big game. Hawks Dogs
that's
tomorrow night at Marvel. That's a massive game. I don't know. Who do you think will win that?
Maybe the Dogs might just.
Yeah, I was going to tip the Dogs.
Show them a bit of.
At Marvel too. Hard to tip against the Dogs at Marvel. They're very good. They're like St Kilda at Marvel. Very good.
Hey, when they do play St Kilda at Marvel, it's a bit of a one-sided affair.
That's coming up soon as well, I think.
St Kilda at Marvel. No, that played Easter week.
Oh, that was before.
Remember, Dog.
Oh, they spanked them, didn't they? Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, we didn't say at the top of the show, but please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I think we've hit 60, which is awesome. We're pushing for that 100 now. So please share it with your friends and family. Like the video as well. That really helps with the YouTube algorithms. And if you can drop a comment, even better. And stay tuned this week. Ashy's got 2 games you're playing, aren't you? Filling in for a side, so we might try and get some 2 match day vlogs out with the under 9s ammos. And beyond that, we've got Geelong Gold Coast.
But we might not do that.
No, might try and get a little bit of footage. We'll see. But anyway, until next time, see you in the next video.